I have an 1818 house, and all
I
the
did hear
graves
you
say
when you
Etobicoke
came in.
County.
That's wonderful.
So,
So,
you know,
yes,
it's older than Prattville.
please join us.
Yes, yes. And house tours and garden tours and
But
just.
as an individual, I didn't see any of that here. It was all organization.
That's kind of what we're focusing on now, but I think there will be a lot for individuals to do too, and recognition of places that are in that period of statehood and preceding it, and just after those are really important. So we haven't. That will come later, or we can talk afterward about that. But our focus in the first onset or first kind of rollout has been on what communities can do and how you want to aggregate and how you want to collectively do things. In some places it makes a lot of sense to do things regionally. In others it makes sense to do it by county. In others, I mean, in Birmingham would have a hard time doing it by county because there are just so many counties involved there, but so many communities too. And so I think it's, again, not to sort of put too much on you, but it really does have to be important and meaningful and work with your community. So. And that will be something we'll be able to assist you with. We'll hope that we'll be able to do some fundraising for you if you need it, and hope to have some funds for communities, and we'll get to that a little bit later in the program. We wanted to show you just some of the resources that are out there as you think about things that you can do or might want to do, and to sort of jumpstart your thinking. So I'm really delighted to introduce some guests who are with us today. And I'm going to introduce Darren and Collins again first, and then David, and okay, in the back. Okay. Collins Kirby is a native of Fort Payne, Alabama. He now lives in New Orleans, but I understand he's back here a lot, so as often as he can get. He has been an organizer since he was a mere child, and he has been lately working on, and he still is, so it hasn't been that long. He's worked closely with the Muscle Shoals Sound, and has done just amazing work all over the region. He is the designer and coordinator of the Boom Days Heritage Celebration in Fort Payne. In 2013, that was chosen as the North Alabama Event of the Year by the Alabama Tourism Department. And it's been a repeat top event after that. And recently, and I'll just end this because it's such a cool thing, in partnership with the New Orleans Advocate, Offbeat Magazine, and Louisiana Department of Tourism, he created and produced the first annual New Orleans Cigar Box Guitar Festival, which was a smashing success. And currently he's implementing a summer concert series in Gulf Coast, Mississippi, as well as working to coordinate several events around Alabama. So you can give us some inspiration and insight into festivals and events like that. Collins, welcome.
Thanks so much, Joe. It's a pleasure to be here in Prattville today. You have a lovely town. You have a historic town. I would echo what the mayor said, that this is a wonderful opportunity. I would also echo what the senator said, that the bicentennial of the United States was a wonderful example that we can follow. I remember that I was in my 20s during that time, and everywhere you went, there were reminders that it was the bicentennial. You would go to a restaurant, and the cover of the menu would be a bicentennial theme. It was a really wonderfully, it was a wonderful atmosphere. Everyone was on the same page about celebrating the bicentennial, and that's what we need to do in Alabama. I must admit that I'm not familiar with the Prattville history of events. What type of annual events do you guys have currently going on in Prattville? Do you have any?
City Fest.
I'm sorry?
City Fest.
City Fest.
Fountain City Arts Festival. We have 3 parades for Christmas, 4th of July, and Mardi Gras. Tell me when I'm leaving out, Kelly. Yeah, the Grits Cook-Off. It's an annual now. Yeah, Founders Day.
I see.
Founders Day, yeah.
I see. Well, I'm certain that this series of events that you have annually, in process of accomplishing these events, you probably established in your town a list of people who are able to organize and conduct events. And those people will be very valuable to you during the bicentennial, and you should look to those people for leadership and advice and counsel in the coming months and years. You know, I'm sure that Daniel Pratt was a wonderful American, but the thing that strikes me personally about your town is Wilson Pickett. We have an excellent opportunity here for a music festival in Prattville. Wilson Pickett was always one of my favorites, and he has a history in Muscle Shoals, so I'm very familiar with his career and his impact on American music. And you guys should capitalize on that, in my humble opinion. Are there any Picketts who still live in Prattville?
We have family here, and we also have been in contact. We honored Wilson Pickett posthumously a few years ago, and we have contact with his family in Atlanta as well. His brother handles the music end of his.
I see. If you could partner with those people and gain their endorsement, it seems to me that that would be a really meaningful thing that you could do. That's an opportunity for Prattville. That's an example of the types of things that we like to explore in term and exploit for celebration purposes. But in a general way of saying this, we do need to adopt that community spirit that the entire country had during the bicentennial. If we can adopt that throughout the state, we'll really have something. I would point you to the red sheet in the Jesse Owens handout. And this strikes me as being a wonderful little outline of possibilities. I think that you know, the festival in Fort Payne that we have, our motto is music, art, food, and fun for everyone. And that's pretty much the theme of what you have here on this sheet. And those are the types of things that you can bring together to cause a celebration and draw attention to your city and the peculiarities of your city that make your city unique and meaningful, and that you can embrace and enjoy and build a community spirit around. I believe that my greatest value today might possibly come during the question and answer and the banter that's associated with that, to answer specific questions or area questions concerning celebrations. So I won't take up very much of your time in this initial talk. But I do want to say that I believe that a town the size of Prattville, with the history and the population that you guys have, that certainly you can shine during the bicentennial. I believe you have an excellent opportunity of being a huge, wonderful part of this. So let's all work together and try to make that happen. Darren? Thanks.
Darren Harris is a comrade in crime and good with Kirby and with Collins and with us. And he and Collins have worked together on the Fort Payne Festival, and he's very active in the Black Belt in Alabama, doing community events and promotion and communications, and so he's sharing some of his expertise with us.
Thank you. I run a PR firm, a boutique PR firm called DK Harris. That's me, public relations. See some of the goings on here. I'm not really familiar with this. Let me get that off for you. You can see a little bit of what's going on around with me in the state, which is a lot of what's going on. But my focus, and I believe I'm the only person in the state that does this, is to focus on cultural, community, historical assets of the state of Alabama that are really gems. And these, of course, are spread out all over the state. But my PR philosophy is very holistic. And I do believe I'm the only person that does this here, and I call it Connecting Alabama. And so when I'm working with one client up in Muscle Shoals, whether it's Rick Hall at Fame Studios or some of the Swampers, and I know that I've got another client down in Talladega at the Ritz Theater that is looking for not only a musical entertainment experience for the community, but an educational component, then there's no greater joy in my life than to bring those different areas of my clients and my life together in a way that ultimately celebrates and educates Alabamians about themselves. We have historically had a problem in this state of the left hand not wanting or caring about knowing what the right hand is doing, and that has proliferated in a county versus county mentality that has created historically some of Alabama's greatest problems. Now, the beauty of the bicentennial is that it's an apolitical organization, and it's meant to be a positive and inspirational thing. And the nice lady was mentioning earlier about, well, what can Elmore and Autauga County get together? Well, maybe the bicentennial would present an entree for those kind of things to be worked out locally and inspire a new positive thing to celebrate both regions of history. So that's a possible, very positive offshoot of the inspiration that an entity such as Alabama 200 can inspire. I'm really happy to be in Prattville because the first thing you see when you drive into town are the gin mills still dominating the skyline. And the story, the successful story of the Alabama Bicentennial is going to be one of making a connection between the past history and showing the validity and continuity of how that connects to us today and how those stories changed over time and how they continue to change us. Well, Prattville is almost an ideal scenario of that. You've got really the heart of your history still standing in the center of town, representing all that it does, and you've got that wonderful water flowing over the original Victorian ironworks and locks and dams that was there powering Mr. Pratt's facilities, and that's your everyday experience in your living life in your current day. That was what it was back then too. So you have a very connected community in that sense, whether you are aware of it or not. So when I see something like that within a community, it really warms my heart, because what I do in connecting Alabama and my PR philosophy, when I see those connections